As the number of coronavirus cases soars tonight, elected officials taking unprecedented measures to keep people safe.
We're telling people that we really want them to avoid gatherings of 10 or more. We want them to work from home if at all possible.
COVID impacted every aspect of our organization.
Everything ground to a halt.
Nonprofit organizations, their staffs were struggling.
You already have people who are on the brink. They just got thrown over the edge.
Terry, how are you?
Good.
It's good to see you. 2020 was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think the work that the nonprofits did in our community during particularly the early days of COVID was amazing. The foundations coming together, and we particularly appreciate you guys partnering with us to figure out how we can respond in real time to their needs.
Exactly. I mean, how quickly we came together to help those that are helping the frontline workers, be it healthcare, law enforcement,
food,
all the nonprofits. They needed that new infrastructure.
I mean, at first the nonprofits almost seemed to feel like it was a hurricane.
Yes.
You know, that kind of, it's going to blow through and then we'll get back to normal. And I think us getting that fund together of, what was it, $1 million?
Initially, we pushed to $2 million, and then it ended up being almost $7 million.
Holy cow.
Yeah. You know, our donors stepped up and did a terrific job of engaging with us. And one of the most important things I think we did was recognize that we needed to help those that are helping others. So the child care for those that were working in the hospitals overtime, and to be able to take that burden off of them so they knew their children had a place to go was critical.
The Gulf Coast Community Foundation, the Charles and Marjorie Brancic Foundation's COVID Response Fund was a big help to us. We found out there was a need to serve the children of first responders. They were working long shifts, long hours, and they needed a place for their kids to go to be safe. So we opened up for up to 90 children of first responders.
When the pandemic hit, it really took a whirlwind on our organization, and we immediately pivoted to emergency childcare. Having those services available for those who were serving the community was just essential. And we could not have done that without Gulf Coast Community Foundation.
I hear a lot of people say that 2020 is a year that we should forget, but we have to think about everyone coming together and making a difference for our kids in our community. That spirit of collaboration that we showed in 2020 shows the future's bright for our children and our community.
I'm here at Harvest House to meet with Erin Miner and Jennifer Fagenbaum of Family Promise of South Sarasota County to talk about the incredible work that they're doing helping people survive this pandemic.
So I would imagine that your work is really difficult before COVID-19.
On normal days?
on just a regular day. So maybe if you can just give us a little information on how the pandemic has affected how you deliver your services to these families.
Prior to COVID, yes, we had a lot of families who were in crisis, but once COVID hit, there were so many more families. Because over 50% of our families had never experienced anything like that before. They'd never sought help for having issues. They were living paycheck to paycheck. They had never gotten themselves into a situation where they hadn't been able to live paycheck to paycheck. And then all of a sudden, a single mom or one of a couple lost their job, and now we can't pay the rent. So we did increase staff a little bit. Gulf Coast and Brancic were able to step in and help us with funding. We were able to shelter all of our families in hotels and keep them there until we could find the housing. And then we were able to, people that were calling, we were able to pay their past due rent.
So Erin, how about Harvest? What are you seeing?
What has made it very interesting at Harvest House is we do supportive housing, and mostly in shared environments. So you have people from multiple households living in a unit together. So you're talking about pretty intense trying to put in these COVID policies, and how do you quarantine if someone gets positive? And so you already have people who are on the brink of crisis, and now it's like they just got thrown over the edge. Thankfully, you know, our community has nonprofits like Family Promise and Harvest House, and we have the support of our community, like Gulf Coast and their donors. So, you know, without that combination of community, who knows where hundreds, thousands of our neighbors would be today.
What we've learned through this is our nonprofit partners are amazing innovators. They made lemonade out of lemons.
Absolutely.
They really took resources that they didn't have before and applied them to new ways. This whole concept of delivering services online is just a huge, huge shift for our nonprofit partners. And they were so innovative in the way they did it. Yeah, they're all delivering
Content online, which is amazing.
It is amazing.
It's really fun to watch.
It is fun. And we were there to help them with the infrastructure to deliver those.
Right.
COVID impacted just every aspect of our organization and really impacted our supervised visitation program. This is the program that is court-ordered for a parent to have visitation with their child or children, and we provide that supervision. And so when COVID hit, we could no longer do that safely. So we had to very quickly pivot from in-person visitations to virtual until they were able to safely meet again. And you were able to bridge that gap. And it made all the difference in the world in those services that we provided.
Thank you, Doug. Christine?
Sure. Well, I'll echo many of the comments that Doug had mentioned. Like other arts organizations across the country, everything ground to a halt. So we did turn to some type of virtual offering. And I will say Gulf Coast Community Foundation was there as our virtual concert season sponsor. We've done 4 concerts that have really exceeded our expectations as far as viewings on our YouTube channel, because I think people do look to the arts as a way to be hopeful and as a sign that things can be somewhat normal and maintain that connection that they need. That's why we're certainly very grateful.
Resilient Retreat is a wonderful oasis here in Sarasota County that's going to be built for people who survive trauma experienced in the workplace, like first responders, police officers, nurses, doctors, etc. So when COVID-19 hit, Resilient Retreat was called upon by many nonprofit organizations that needed support internally. Their staffs were struggling. We had to be at the ready to respond to that, and we were, thanks to a grant by the Gulf Coast Community Foundation and Barancic Foundation. We were able to hire a dedicated educator to go out into the community and train them on how they could support one another through peer support programs and just be more overall trauma informed.
We had a need in our community to really support those who have been impacted by trauma beyond their initial crisis for a long time. It really was brought to the forefront with the pandemic and has given us the opportunity to address that need. Unfortunately, that's not a need that's going to go away, but it's a need that we can help kind of start chipping away at, and that's what our work is going to do.
Terry, as we look forward to 2021, I think we're going to keep the fun going.
Absolutely. We're in.
Yeah, you're in as well. Yeah, I think there's some new needs that are out there. And we're even seeing this recognized by business leaders who are saying, you know, they're concerned about their workers, they're concerned about their family health, their mental health, as well as the education, so many different areas. So
lots of stressors.
A lot of stressors. You really have to give a credit to the Sarasota region for really seeing the need and being able to step up in a way that they've never stepped up before.
Yeah.
And we can't thank our donors enough, Terry, for joining with us this past year. We're going to need them in the future as well, but they have stepped up.
Well, the donors love this community.
They do. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Terry. The way the donors come to Sarasota, not only for the arts, but for how we build safety nets for the needy. It's just amazing.
Well, they have heart.
They have heart, and they showed it in the biggest way possible during COVID-19.